everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial we are going to see steps to create ML model, right? So in our previous few videos we have been discussing with various methods of machine learning. Then we discussed 6 different techniques of creating learning model, but let's see what are the actual steps irrespective of what kind of algorithm we are going to use to create the machine learning. There are certain steps that we need to follow if we wanted to create the machine learning model, right? So first of all, this thing that we need to do is we need to identify the data. So we need to identify data, right? So basically to design any machine learning model, since machine learning, like all the machine learning models, learns from examples, right? The previous example, the actual data. So ML uses data to uh, you know uh, to do the prediction, basically, long story short, right? So first of all, we need to identify what are the data points, how many sets of data, input data set, that we are going to use to train the machine learning model, right? Then we need to clean that particular data, right? So basically accurate the data that you apply to train your machine learning model, more accurate will be the predictions. So it is very better to apply clean data as a training data set to your machine learning model, so that it will obviously get trained accurately. If it get trained accurately, then it will give you the results, predictions, outcomes, predictions accurately as per your expectation. Yeah, as simple as that. You need to apply clean data. Clean data means a very well engineered data, and that is where the data engineering fields come into the picture. When we talk about machine learning, what is the use of data engineering in machine learning is to give the right data to the right algorithm, right? Then third is identifying inputs and labels, basically. So the third thing is identify inputs / labels, right? So in our last few tutorials we have already discussed what do you mean by label. Label is kind of an input, a kind of a key and value pair. Like for example, if color is your attribute, then color is blue, so the attribute with its specific value is known as label. So based on your training data set, you need to identify the labels so that you can apply those labels to again to train your ML model, so that whenever a test data set, or whenever your uh, model is going to get productionalized, it can map that particular input, whatever it has received in the production, to the labels. So more accurate you find the label, more accurate you identify the label. Again, it is directly proportional to the how accurately your model can predict the results for your problem statement, right? So this is the third step, where we identify inputs. We call this particular step as feature engineering as well, right? Where we identify labels, tag them, map them to map your input to output, and all these things happens in this particular model. In the step, in the fourth step, we actually create the model, right? When we say create model, and we create this particular model using data sets. Data set is kind of whatever you have already done in the first step, that identify you identified the data, then you cleaned that data, then you mapped that data by doing the feature engineering. So we use this particular data set to create the model, and using certain ML algorithm, right? So basically in the fourth step, we actually create the model using the data set that we have identified, and by using the accurate ML algorithm. And in our last video we have discussed 6 different techniques of various machine learning algorithms. So based on the use case that we are trying to solve, we identify the right machine learning algorithm and we use it to create the machine learning model. Once your machine learning model is created, the next step is a very important step, and which is checking or testing the accuracy of the model, right? Testing the accuracy of model. So here you apply how, you analyze your model with lots of other test data, right? And basically you see how correct predictions are being made by your algorithm. We call this particular process as evaluation process as well, right? So in the evaluation process, you evaluate your algorithm, like how correct your algorithm is behaving. If it is not behaving correctly, then what are the flaws? If those flaws are identified, then you fix those in the model and again reapply this fifth technique of evaluation process, and just to check whatever fixes has been done are reflected in the output or in the prediction or not. So this is kind of a continuous process basically, until you get the desired result, but you have to ultimately go into these steps. And sixth and the final step is to actually deploying your model. When we say we deploy model, we obviously we deploy this particular model into the production, and we actually start using this. We actually start using the model in production, right? So basically this is the sixth step where you finally you are satisfied with the model behavior, it is giving the correct results, and then you start using it. You deliver it model to your end customer and they start using it for their own use cases, right? So these are the six steps that you have to follow. The fifth and sixth step, it may be a continuous process of learning, that you get something, you while your model is in the production, you find some improvements there, you again do those in the model, fix those, evaluate that, and then again make a good release of it for your customers benefit, right? Now here there are a couple of more things that we should understand, is what kind of data set we are talking about. So when we are at a fourth step, right, when we are actually creating the algorithm, we need the data set to train our model, right? So we call this particular data set that we use while creating the machine learning model is known as training data set, right? So basically I'll just make a note of it here. Types of data sets, right? So the first type is training data set, and we use this data set while creating a machine learning algorithm or machine learning model for that matter, right? So we use this training data set while creating a machine learning model. Then next come is validation data set, right? So we use this particular validation data set when we are testing the accuracy of the model. At the time of evaluation process, we use this particular data set, and then obviously your testing data set, that is again when you try to test your model, you deploy it, you check the final behavior of your model, then you use something called as testing data set. The testing data set is obviously used at the time of testing. So basically training data set you use while creating the model. Validation, you when you are doing some kind of do some validation test in terms of checking the behavior, functional testing, right? At this time you use the validation data set, and testing data set is something that you use by while at the evaluation process. And what does the best practice is that all the data sets like training data set, validation data set, and testing data set should be different. Like for example, the data set that we are using in training data set should not be used while doing the evaluation process. it should be a different data set that we should apply and do the evaluation process. When we are actually testing our models, when we are doing the deployments, then that data set, which we call it as testing data set, it should be again should be different. It should not be there either in the training data set or in the validation data set. It should be a different set of data set or input that should be verified when we are actually using or deploying the model. Now, why these different types of data sets or why these categories are present is to make sure just one thing, that ML model should be able to give accurate prediction, good prediction, right? So it should not have any false positives, false negatives, and those kinds of confusions in prediction. It should be accurate, it should be precise, it should satisfy the user's need, right, without any confusion. That's why it is very important to use all the permutation and combination of data or input while we are creating the ML model. While we are validating, it is very important to test that particular model with all kinds of basically valid inputs, invalid input, confusing tokens, and basically the way we test our softwares, all the test cases, everything. We apply positive test cases, negative test cases, integration testing, you know we do load testing and whatnot, basically. So all these kinds of parameters are applied even in testing your machine learning model as well, to make sure it gives the right prediction without any confusion, simple, concise, and specific prediction for which the model is been designed for. Okay, so these are the high level steps, guys, that we generally use to create a machine learning model, right? So I hope now it will make the complete sense to you that whatever techniques that we have used, it has to go through these many steps so as to become a successful production level machine learning model. Okay, I hope you'll find this particular video tutorial useful. Thanks for watching this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this particular videos with your colleagues, friends, and help them to understand the machine learning techniques and the things around ML. Okay, thanks everyone, thanks for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.